Gas prices have no doubt played a role in slowing the economic recovery. The average price for a gallon of unleaded in upstate New York on this day last year was $2.97. That might seem hard to believe right now, but the cost was actually even lower than that 7 months ago. It was about $2.84. Now, since then, gas prices have risen steadily, with the biggest spikes coming late February when the unrest in the Middle East began. Today, the average price for a gallon of unleaded upstate is $4.02. This trend has reignited elected officials' calls for gas tax holidays. Joining me tonight is Assemblyman Jim Tedisco. He recently proposed suspended state taxes on gas for 3 holiday weekends. That would be Memorial Day, Independence Day, and Labor Day. Governor Cuomo said he's open to that idea, but Mike Elmendorf, president of the Associated General Contractors of New York, opposes the idea, although he does agree that gas prices are indeed an economic drag. Gentlemen,
Absolutely.
Thanks very much for being here.
Thanks.
I appreciate it.
Good to be with you, please.
So why don't you start, Assemblyman, and just tell us generally how this would work and why.
First of all, let me thank you that you're so far ahead on this issue right now, because I was just told when I came in that you bought a 21-speed Schwinn bike, and, so you're really going to cut down on that gasoline. But you know what's going to happen there? They're going to charge you $3 for a pound of air to put in your tires. So.
Right, to offset whatever they lose when you take away the taxes.
Right.
All right, so
but
go ahead.
Let's get serious now. I heard the governor speak today and yesterday, and maybe you did too. And he gets it. He's right on. What he said is that the taxpayers, those people who pay these gas prices, are stretched to the limit right now. And he also said this tax burden on gasoline is a crushing burden to add to the stretching that's taking place right now. And he mentioned that he thinks this could seriously impact our economic recovery, really slow it down. But here's the other thing he's way ahead of us on right now. He understands New York State does not have a revenue problem. New York State has a spending and taxing problem.
Hold on, stop.
This is his words.
Yes.
And he is open to this right now.
He is. Okay, just to remind viewers, Governor Cuomo is a Democrat. This man is a Republican.
Right.
And we don't want this to devolve into a love fest for the Democratic governor, not to say that we don't love him.
My feeling is when he changes his affiliation, he'll be one of the best Republican governors in the history of New York State.
Okay.
And that's got to be coming because he stole our agenda, so he's got to be stealing our affiliation.
You sound like Ed Cox. Wait, hold on now. Getting back to the gas tax.
Well, let me say this.
Gas tax.
Yeah, it's a win for the beleaguered property taxpayer and the middle class here because, you know, I go to Price Chopper and I see these individuals in Price Chopper. They have to spend $50 to get a 10-cent discount at Sunoco. These individuals are so excited to get that 10% discount. They rush over there. They fill up their tank. This is 33 cents a gallon. These are only 3 of the holidays during the course of the summer. We're going to give them a summer holiday tax break.
Okay.
Now, this passed in 2007,
I know.
in 2008, but it was the full summer. We're just asking for 12 days to give the taxpayers a break so they can not only take a vacation, but here's the important part, Liz. They can help the small businesses. They're going to be buying goods and services.
Assemblyman, hold on.
I'm trying to give you all the information.
I know. Let's slow down.
It's a filibuster.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
Mr. Elmendorf, your position.
My position. Well, you know, first of all, I'm sorry I'm dressed a little casual. I was out playing in the mud today. We had our construction career day, so I didn't have time to go home and suit up here.
I thought it was digging an oil well, but
if we could find some. Maybe we can talk about digging for some gas, but that's another subject entirely.
No.
You know, Jim Tedisco is a friend, and I don't know that there's been an occasion before where we haven't agreed, but we don't agree on this one. Well, we half agree. He's right. The price of gas in New York State being so high, and being so high compared to the states around us, is a major problem. It's a problem for families. It's a problem for the business community because one way or another it impacts just about every business in the state, and it impacts our members at AGC, most of whom are small businesses who, a lot of them have very fuel-intensive operations. They use a lot of fuel.
Sure.
The problem with this proposal is that it's first not going to do, I don't believe, what the Assemblyman is hoping it will do, and it will also, I think, create a bigger problem than the one that it is aiming to address, at least in terms of saving a few cents and then losing more on the other side. Let me explain. The problem is that the taxes in question here are not taxes that are collected at the pump for the most part. The excise tax and the petroleum business tax are collected at the point of entry into the state. So when the fuel comes in, it goes to a distributor, a wholesaler, it comes from the oil company. That's when that tax is collected. The other tax is the sales tax on gasoline. That's the tax that's collected at the pump. That's where the windfall is, by the way. The other two taxes are static. They don't go up. You're paying the same amount. It's like a per unit.
About the county sales tax.
Talking about the county,
because
the county
there's a
sales
state
tax.
sales tax of 8 cents,
Right.
Excise tax of 8 cents, and a petroleum tax of 17
But
cents.
the petroleum,
that's the 33 cents.
The petroleum, here's the trick though, the petroleum tax and the excise tax, which are the taxes that are paid at point of entry, are also the taxes that are essentially the user taxes that motorists, people who are using our public transportation infrastructure, are paying to use that infrastructure, which in theory, and then we'll get to that, goes into a dedicated, and I make the little air quotes, trust fund, which is designed to maintain, repair, and build the public
jobs for your members.
infrastructure. Not only means jobs for our members, but it means jobs for all of us, because I think we'd agree you can't have a thriving economy if your infrastructure is failing. And we have some of the worst road and bridge conditions in the country.
You would agree with that,
in New
no?
York State.
You do agree with
and
that.
here's what's
Yes,
happening.
that's
Here's what's
half
happening.
of that I agree with.
Right now, the dedicated Bridge and Highway Trust Fund, if it's a lockbox, it's about time to change the key, because the money is being spent on all sorts of things other than roads and bridges. It's being spent on on snow removal and snow plows running.
Okay.
That's not capital. It's being spent on bus inspections. It's being spent on DMV clerks, and it is insolvent. It is about $700 million a year being transferred out of that fund for things that have nothing to do with maintaining or building roads and highways. And this would be another huge hit. Now, you're saying it would be $19 million, I think, that would be coming out of the fund by diverting or by basically canceling these revenues over this period of time. That's the entire 2011 pavement repair program for the whole Capital District through DOT.
And let me tell you how we're going to get that back in the fund. By going digital in New York State and getting rid of the reams of paper that we have here.
I knew it was coming.
$13 million.
You just can't help yourself, can you?
$40 million to get rid of it. That's close to $50 million we could
Which has
save.
nothing to do with saving gas prices at the pump for a person who's filling up their tank.
But Mike is right, and
No,
we
he
agree upon this. Nobody's worked harder in the New York State legislature to make the legislature live up to its words. Let me give you another example besides this one, this locked box. And he's right. You know how Social Security is being stolen on the federal level? Oh, it's going bankrupt. Yeah, they took the money out and they spent it for all other things. Mike is absolutely right. But not one penny of these taxes have been given for a break for our constituents yet, and we canceled the 5-year plan already, and our roads and bridges are in disrepair. It's not a break for the taxpayers. It's that we don't really have a locked box, and I agree with him. We got to lock that box.
The problem is, and there's legislation to do that with
there are two different bills. Senator Libous and
I support that 100%.
Okay, but in terms of of getting the price of gas down, I mean, the last time that this was tried, there's no guarantee that if in fact you say the taxes have to be suspended temporarily, that a person who sells gas won't just jack up the price and pocket the difference, right? And then the person who's going to fill up their gas
tank. But there is, because that's illegal. It's collusion and it's price fixing, and that's why we have an Attorney General called Eric Schneiderman and a federal government, and we're going to stay on top of them, and the legislators are going to stay on top of this deal also. And if we see this collusion happen, people are going to get the book thrown at them. Okay, and that's what our plan is right now.
The problem is it won't work. It's been done at local levels. The Times Union referenced this week Albany County's experience in trying to do this. It didn't work. The price didn't go down. I talked to someone in Onondaga County earlier today who told me that they had done something similar. They took it off the books
so
because you're not getting
what will work. What do you have an alternative if in fact we buy your argument, which is to say this isn't a good idea because in part, you know, we're supposed to have these funds and the funds are supposed to fix the infrastructure. The infrastructure is crumbling, which I think we all do definitely agree. Yeah. Then how do you address the spike in the gas prices so people can on Memorial Day go on vacation?
Sure. It's also, by the way, not a good idea because not maintaining roads and bridges
makes it difficult to drive.
And it puts a big cost on motorists. It's about $400 a year right now just because of the poor state of our infrastructure. When a bridge fails, when traffic has to be diverted, when a road is closed, that's a big. It's more than it's more than a few pennies for a couple of weekends a year.
Then?
How do we fix it? Well, the first thing we have to do is fix the way we're funding transportation infrastructure in the state and stop letting the money be either diverted someplace else before it gets there or stolen once it gets there.
Okay,
we agree on that.
Mike, for gas,
on gas.
How do you deal with that?
Well, we need to sit down and figure that out. I mean, this approach won't work because again, these taxes are being collected further upstream. What do you do with the fuel that's being sold on Memorial Day weekend? Didn't arrive there on Memorial Day weekend. These taxes, 2 of the 3 taxes in question here, are being paid way further upstream than at the pump. So you're not going to see that immediate impact at the pump. It's just not going to work. If we thought it was going to work and we could find a way to make sure that the infrastructure funds were whole, it'd be something we could talk about. You're not going to get the desired result, and you're going to cause more harm than good.
Well, let me tell you the irony about all this, and I think Mike understands this. In 2007 and 2008, the Senate passed this piece of legislation, but for the entire summer. You know who led the fight on that? Mike Elmendorf. He worked for the National Federation of Independent Businesses.
I wouldn't say I led the fight.
If it was good policy then for Mike Elmendorf working for small businesses in New York State, just because he changed position, I can't think it's bad policy now. But the fact of the matter is, they are going to save money. They are going to get a break at the pump. You know, and I can't only repeat myself. When they get that price chopper 10 cents, they're over there, and they're filling up their tank.
That's a guaranteed savings. In the history, the pattern of this...
Not any more guaranteed than
price chopper's a guaranteed savings.
Yeah, price chopper's a guaranteed savings. You pay the money, you get 10% off. You know you're getting it because you spent the money, and they have a deal with Sunoco.
In ours, you get 33 cents off.
Not necessarily, though, because the past hasn't necessarily dictated that. We'll look at Albany County's example. It didn't work for them.
Well, you get 33 cents off, but you're suggesting they just add 33 cents on. And what I'm saying, that's price fixing. That's collusion.
Okay.
We shouldn't allow that to be happening.
Okay, you get the last word here because you have to defend yourself, and then we're out of time, unfortunately.
I mean, I do the same thing here that I did at NFIB. I represent the position of our members. That's what I did at NFIB. That's what I'm doing at AGC.
But I represent the right position. I don't switch.
I don't think I've switched my position. I didn't check my principles at the door just because I changed positions. You know I'm a very conservative guy, and I think there's plenty of things that we could talk about that state government is spending money on that they shouldn't. Maintaining and building a public infrastructure is one of the things going back hundreds of years that is the responsibility of government, and we are failing on that score in New York State.
We are unfortunately out of time, gentlemen. I'm sure if this passes, you can come back and debate it again. Mike Elmendorf, thank you very much. Assemblyman Jim Tedisco, thank you very much.
Mike, good to be with you, Liz.
It was a fairly clean fight. Thank you. Okay, switching gears now to some national news. All eyes will be on